Hello and welcome back to a brand new series where I squish ACNH characters together to make a brand new design. I've already done this with Squishmallows before, but I thought to myself, because I play Animal Crossing all the time and because there's so many unique designs, why don't I just make a new guy? Just a little fella. So, enough rambling, let's get into the design. Here we are at a generator where it randomizes all the characters. I've decided to put only 3, and I've given myself the leeway of shuffling 3 times in case I don't like the grouping. Also, you will notice that the names at the bottom of the pictures are wrong, so please ignore that. But anyways, I don't like this grouping, so I'm gonna try one more time. And would you look at that? Bunny, Goldie, and Piper. I could work with this. Let's go ahead and squish them together. Throwing all 3 characters into my drawing program, I started assessing what parts of the characters I wanted to put inside my new design. So for Bunny, I took the character model itself, and then for Goldie, I took her colors. And Piper, unfortunately, there wasn't much to work with. She's very simple in design, but I decided to take her eyeballs and some of the colors of her beak and feet. I'm not gonna lie, that sounds really weird without context. I did also want to take Piper's shirt, but you'll see me later on replacing it with Bunny's dress, just because I was looking at her shirt and I was like, I have no idea if I can replicate this. That looks complicated as heck. Of course, we have to start with a sketch, which is probably not my favorite part of the process. I don't know why, for some reason, sketching is just, it's not it for me. I actually much prefer the final details of things. It's like the cherry on top, you know, very satisfying to finish. And before you guys get on me about it, I know chicken scratching is not the best way to do things when sketching, but that's all I've ever done. And I think I will die on that hill where I'll just keep doing it and I won't stop. So for all those girlies out there who do chicken scratches for their sketch, I'm with you. I'm on that boat. We're gonna drown together. Besides that, I know my sketches aren't the greatest either. It's very chaotic, I would say. It doesn't really paint the picture very well. I mean, it is a sketch after all. It's not supposed to be perfect by any means, but I can guarantee the outcome of this sketch, this horrifying sketch, it gets better. I just want to say that. It gets better. And because Bunny is the one that I'm taking inspiration off of, I wanted to replicate her little pose. I think it's super cute. I'd rather a pose than making the character just look stiff, standing there like they're looking into the abyss. Not calling anyone out. Piper. Miss Girl, where are you looking? And finally, to finish off our sketch, I wanted to add more details like the fur tufts that you'll see on the cheeks and just a tuft on the forehead too, because I think that those kind of details are very adorable. Also, I added Bunny's eyelashes on the top too. So the lining process, let me tell you, I don't know about you guys, but lining takes me forever. And it's quite, it can drive me mad, I will say. I do have to do something in the background, like watch a video, listen to music while I'm doing the lining process, or I'll just zone out. It takes a long time, and I figure out ways how to make the lining process a lot easier for myself. So as you can see, I'm playing with lines instead of actually doing it with like a pencil, like you do with your, what's it called? I'm looking at it. I have it in my hand right now. What is this called? Stylus? A pen? A drawing pen? Sure. A tablet pen. So instead of using that, I use vector lines, which I can manipulate the lines after I put them down. I've always had the mantra of work smarter, not harder, and that especially applies to art. It takes me far too long just to do anything within art, so it's kind of like cutting corners, but in still a really good way. So for those of you guys who are interested in learning a bit like work smarter and not harder, I would definitely suggest this tip for sure. It has saved me hours, and I'm telling you, hours. And it's okay if you guys don't like this kind of thing too, because I get it, like you want your lines to look authentic as well, like hand-drawn, which totally understandable. But for me personally, not my thing. I can live without it. If you're interested in the vector lines thing, I would just suggest looking up videos on how to use this. It's not that complicated. I'm just smooth-brained. I'm wondering if I should just put down some like question and answers in my description sometimes, because I do get some similar questions a lot of the times when I put out drawing videos. One of them is typically, what drawing program do you use? And I use the Clip Studio Paint, by the way. It's the X. It's the expensive version. Mainly because I wanted to use this version to animate stuff, but I can count on my hands how many times I've animated stuff, and it's not a lot. Uh-oh. That's besides the point. You'll also notice in my lining process that I sometimes play around with the line width. Am I saying that correctly? With the W-I-D-T-H. Width. And that's just because I like the look of it. I like my outer lines to be thicker than the ones on the inside, just to give it more of a pop. I don't know where I got this from, but I'm pretty sure I saw someone do it one day and I was like, I want to apply that to my art too. So here we are. I don't always do it though. I think with these kind of characters though, I will be doing it, but with fixing ugly villagers, I'm not gonna do it, because what I just basically do for that is I trace the lines and then fix the colors or whatever else. But with these, I feel like I can do it just because it's it's like a brand new design, so I need to add more oomph to it. I don't know if this is making any sense. Sometimes I try to explain things and it's right in my brain, but then it doesn't come out through my mouth. Like even now, did I just explain that properly? I don't know. Oh well. Actually, another great thing about the vector lines is that you could play around with the width too, in case you don't like the size of it. So sometimes, I don't know if you can notice it during my drawing process, but I sometimes press on a line if I don't like the width or it's not the right one, and then I change it down to like a 10 instead of a 15. You can still do that if you draw it with your hand, like on the pen thing, and not with the lines that I'm using. As long as it's on a vector layer, then you should be fine, and you can still play around with the lines or recolor them too. You don't have to do like a whole trick to recolor them. It's very cool, and it definitely does save me a lot of time, which for a while that was my biggest problem, because I think for a year or two my main job was just drawing digitally, and I had to figure out ways how to make the process faster because I was drawing so slowly, and that was sort of an issue for time management because I also suck at that. So this is definitely one of those things that I had to improve on. I'm still trying to figure out, probably coloring. Yeah, I would say coloring. I do also have this bucket tool where I just like circle the thing that I want to fill in color with, and then it just fills it automatically, and it doesn't leave those weird white lines at the edge of the line, if you know what I mean. I hope some of you just know what I mean. I'm not the best at explaining things, but I'm trying my darndest. I'm a visual learner, so me trying to explain things when I can't even envision it myself is very hard. I need step by step, okay? I need a 1, 2, 3, step by step, take me through it, let's see it visually. Don't just tell me it, okay? That's not gonna work with my brain. And can I just take you guys on a little bit of a rant? So during school, I would struggle a lot with my studies because I couldn't understand what was going on half the time. It didn't help that I have ADHD, so I was all over the place. I couldn't focus. A lot of times the teachers would just write stuff down on the board or like try to like explain it verbally, and I sat there in my chair and I was like, what is going on? I need help. And let's just say that half the time I was not doing well. Then I found out that something called visual learning and verbally learning, and what was the other one? There's like a third one, I'm pretty sure. Is it written? Maybe. I don't know. And that's where I learned that I was a visual learner. And what sucks is that sometimes teachers just teach you in one way. I remember actually having a math teacher, and don't get me started with math because I also suck at math, but she was a really good teacher because she would actually sit down with me, go through it all, and then do like a ton of different ways to show me how to do it. Mind you, I'd forget it like 5 minutes after, but it's fine. I still remember her, and I still am very grateful for her methods of teaching. Like those kind of teachers I really do appreciate, and that's probably why I also excelled really well at art. I could see it visually. It was like doing it on my own. It's literally just visual. I've been out of school for quite some time now. It's been several years, but I would just like to say that I do think a lot about my art classes because I do miss my art teachers and just being in class and having that constantly being creative. And actually, for the first time in a very, very, very long time, I painted something. It's nothing like realistic because my main stuff was realism. I really like just replicating something because I could just see it off of a picture and then put it on paper or my canvas or whatever. That was my go-to stuff. This painting isn't realism by any means. I played around with colors and I really like this painting. What sort of inspired me to actually paint was my brother because he did like a Bob Ross thing with his girlfriend, and I was like, oh my gosh, that looks so good. I want to paint now. So shout out to my brother. Thank you so much. I was actually contemplating on adding some Pokemons in there, like Lapras in the water, because it's like a scene. Like there's mountains and then there's trees and then there's a river. So I was thinking about adding Lapras into the water, but I was like, I don't know. Still thinking about it. Maybe I'll do it. But for now, it's good. So now we're moving on to the coloring. I mean, we're already into the coloring. I just forgot to stop talking about school and then focus on, you know, the drawing itself. But here we are. We're finally adding Goldie's colors. You'll notice that I shade the inside of the ears, but later on just get rid of it. That is because I was not feeling like shading the entirety of the drawing itself. That would probably add like an extra hour, which by the way, oh, that's one thing I want to improve on, shading. I need to find an easier way how to shade stuff. And although it is just flat colors with a bit of details on it, I think it really does work with the character's design. But I gotta say, the dress, oh my goodness, the dress. I'm pretty sure I did this dress before with another character. I think it was Annabelle. Like I turned Annabelle the Squishmallow. I turned her into an Animal Crossing villager. I did this dress for her too, and I forget how I did it. Yeah, it took me a while to, you know, square it off, draw, erase, draw. Note to self, Shauna, don't ever do this dress again, please. It's cute, but it's very complicated. I know there's some tools that, like the checkered tools that you could do, because Clip Studio does have those assets for you, but I was kind of lazy, I'm not gonna lie. I did it by hand, which is probably not lazy at all in itself, but I was lazy to look for it. Make it make sense, Shauna, make it make sense. By the way, I know I'm talking very highly about Clip Studio Paint. This is not an ad by any means. I just really enjoy Clip Studio Paint because that was the one program that worked very well for me. I was actually gifted a drawing iPad, and I was looking into getting that one drawing program program that they have on there. I think it's called Procreate, but you gotta pay. Is it monthly or is it a one-time purchase? I forget. Either way, I was like, I don't want to spend money. I already spent so much money on this drawing program. I was like, I don't want to do that on that. And then I gotta buy the drawing pen or whatever it's called, the Apple Pencil. I'm not an Apple girly anyways, so this iPad is just sitting on my painting that I was talking about earlier. I just want to sit in my bed sometimes and draw, okay? Is that so hard to ask for, Apple? Why do I have to spend so much money just to draw? I guess I could go the traditional route again, pencil and paper, and I guess I could just transfer it into my drawing program after when I'm done. You know what? I don't even know why I'm complaining. I take everything back. I'm just complaining for no darn reason. But I gotta say, I'm pretty proud of myself for drawing this checkered pattern and also adding in those fine detailed lines with the red and the yellow stripes. Now that I'm looking closely at the drawing though, her, what is it, right shoulder, kind of missing like that dark green to separate the light green from her shoulder and her chest. Kind of bothering me the more that I look at it right now. I don't know if you guys are looking at it too. Yeah, let's just ignore it. Well, that's a mistake I'll learn in the future. Probably not. I'll probably forget about this moment and do the same kind of mistake again. Okay, so you know that part where I was talking about how I manipulated the lines to get bigger? Pick up the line and then just like womp, make them bigger looking. I also turned down the transparency of those lines because it looked more similar to the one in Bunny's dress. It's not as flashy, like a bright pink and a bright yellow. And finally, guys, my favorite part of the drawing process, the finishing touches. I do go in and recolor my lines to like a lighter brown. Sometimes in my art, I don't, actually, I'm gonna say most of the times in my art, I don't like using black because it takes away a lot of the color. That sounded so stupid when I'm trying to explain it, but it just, I find it looks more visually pleasing to my art and my style if I use variations of colors for my line instead of just black. Black can work and most definitely can work on art, but for me personally, it doesn't work for me, so that's why I don't do it. And for some reason, it's just really satisfying for me to color in the lines. Like that's one of my favorite things to do is just color lines. Ooh, actually, one of my favorite things to do with other artists when we're collabing on art stuff. I love it when they do line art for me and then I get to color it in. It's like a coloring book. It's the best thing ever. It's so fun. I was that kid who always lined the inside of the lines with a dark opacity and then just like a light, you know, like scribble. I never drew outside of the line. That was sacrilegious because then I would just feel like I ruined the entirety of my drawing. Again, going back with the whole shading thing, you'll notice that I do add some shading inside of the eyes, but I do remove it again because I decide to just do a simpler sort of shading method, which is just adding 2 layers of colors inside of the eye and then a little bit of highlights. I do that as well with the mouth too. Nothing too complicated. And for some reason, I love adding these little like fuzzy lines outside of the character, erasing some bits off too, just those finer details. To me, they come off as like fuzzies. Like when you look at it, it's like a fuzzy little plushie. And if I don't add those lines, then it's like a smooth surface. That's just for like my cute art style, I suppose. And well, with the finishing details of adding some highlights, fixing the lines in my checkered pattern, adding some purlin noise to give it some texture. Yes, texture. And drawing this for over 2 hours, I would call this drawing done. You know what song is playing in my head right now when I'm looking at this drawing? You know that song in Na Na Land where it's like, who's that wonderful girl? Could she be any... Well, yeah, it's that one. What do you guys think? Do you like her? I was planning on giving her a name myself and a personality type, but you know what? I feel like I'll leave that up to you guys. What do you think her name would be? Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If it's your birthday today, happy birthday. And if it's not your birthday today, happy day. I will see you guys in the next one. Love y'all. Take care. Have a nice one out there. And a farewell. Bye-bye.